Darin here with Exercise of the Week, episode 7, Dumbbell Upright Row. Real excited to share with you some strategies and tips that I've used to learn to keep my shoulders safe and my rotator cuff safe, and make my shoulders grow. It works for my clients as well. Come back to the YouTube channel, subscribe, because we're gonna have a full shoulder routine all in one spot on the playlist. This is just the first exercise of that shoulder routine. So before we get started, if you're 20, 30 years old, you might not feel that proper warm-up is that important, but trust me, it is. So I'd like to do maybe a slow set of push-ups, nice and slow, get some blood flow, and then do a static stretch. Over, arms over and under, 10 or 15, sort of slow. After those 10 or 15, you speed it up. And then after those 10 or 15, start wrapping your hands around your shoulders like you're patting yourself on the back. If it tweaks your rotator cuff a little bit, obviously back away. Something like that can really get the blood flowing. It can really start to warm things up, the rotator cuff, muscles, ligaments, and tendons in the ball and socket joint. After that, it's really a good idea to get a firm ball like a lacrosse ball, go over against the wall, put it right in the middle of your shoulder, lean body weight about half into it, and just go up and down, front, back, and look for spots that are hard or knotty. Calcifications, you can knead into that for 10 seconds and start to get some of that knocked out of there over time. And worst case scenario, if you don't have any knots, you're gonna get more blood down to the ball and socket, rotator cuff, so things are more safe when you get really intense on the upper body workouts. Another thing that you can do to warm your rotator cuff, ball and socket joint up is, I call them scarecrow in the garden. Kick those elbows up nice and high. Give me 10 or 15 of those, nice and slow and methodical. If you use a little bit of weights, maybe 5 pounds, 7, 8 pounds, start nice and slow. One other unique rotator cuff warm-up is put your elbow, put maybe a towel or something between your elbow and your side of your body, and slowly come on out here and come this way. Warm those rotator cuffs up before you get intense. So now, the standing dumbbell row, upright row. Nice breath in. 2. Give me a 2-second pause up here and down. Real important that you visualize the elbows getting pulled to the ceiling by a string, and keep the elbows above the handles. 2 and 1 and pause. Time that breath out. Right on the way up, it'll help you pull those inner abs in so that you can feel more focus in the target muscle, the shoulders in this case. 2 and 1. You can get pretty heavy on this exercise. I'm using 25s for demonstration purposes on this one. Try a few different options. Everybody's a little different. Maybe the dumbbells stay together. Just try a few reps like that. You might be shaped different. Who knows? Maybe keep them further apart. 2 and 1. And just sort of see what feels better. The first part of the set, the first half to 3/4 of the set, for those 2-second pauses, at that pause for 2 seconds at the top, that's where you really, 2 and 1. Want to visualize squeezing water out of a sponge in that target area. 2 and 1. For the last 4 to 5 reps, I like to not pause anymore. A little bit more rapid fire, still slow, to finish off the set. 2 more. And the last one, hold it up there and give me a nice slow 5-second negative. Down nice and slow, get a nice stretch. So the timing of that breath is important. You want to explode the air out your mouth as you start the positive of the movement. It cinches your internal weight belt up, makes your spine safer, allows you to create more pressure, power, anything that you're doing, throwing, jumping, jabbing, but in this case, right here. So that's the general scheme of the slow go system is pause for 2 seconds for the first 3/4 of the set. At the top, 3 seconds down, 2-second pause, big breath in, and then at the very end for the last 4 or 5 repetitions, still slow, but don't pause anymore. It'll cause a little bit of muscle confusion. All right, now after the first set or 2, early in the workout, you can start a little bit of mild stretching. There's a few options for stretching, but this is one that has worked really well for me in the past, and that is it's pretty easy to find a bar somewhere in the gym. So, get the hands maybe just a little bit outside your glutes. You're gonna do it forwards and backwards with your palms. They're both beneficial, but a little bit different. And drop your body down until you start to feel a little stretch in the shoulders. I like to stop there and back away from that stretch as I take a big breath in. And then I exhale and relax and sink into the stretch for 4 to 5 seconds. If your back's touching the bar, it's gonna be more in the chest. If you bring the back away from the bar 2 to 3 inches, you're gonna feel that come out of it nice and slow. If you bring that back 2 to 3 to 4 inches away from the bar, you're gonna feel the stretch go more towards the shoulder and away from the chest. You're not gonna be able to stretch just the chest or just the shoulders, but that will help take more of the stretch a little bit towards the shoulders. And then the stretching should not be that intense. Don't really get into it until the last half of the set when your core body temperature is really hot. There's a lot of blood in the shoulders. You can push the stretch. In fact, you want to in the last half of the set and at the end of the set of the exercise session. That's one of the first things anybody can do to start the recovery process is the stretching at the end to increase the range of motion of that target area, that joint and that muscle group, and also to start the recovery process. Stretching elongates the muscles. It gets fresh blood in there. It starts to get, that fresh blood helps get rid of that lactic acid out of there. It's a whole bunch of good reasons and helpful things for recovery. So then I would go do the second set. I would go up 5 pounds on the same exercise. I would use 30 and I would go to failure again and the rep range would come down a little bit. 12 to 14 the first set, a little bit heavier, a little bit later after your stretching protocol, fail in the 10 to 12 rep range, and then go stretch, go to an ab, come back, do the third set to failure with a little bit heavier weight in the 8 to 9 to 10 rep range. So it's just a little bit less reps every set, a little bit more weight. So then after the second set, I would come over and stretch again, and I would try a wider grip. And I would do the palms out, or the opposite of what I did with the palms the first stretch, same thing. Nice breath in. Once the stretch starts, stop. Back away from it a little bit, big breath in. And exhale. Bring the back away from the bar. Kick. It's easy to feel the stretch go towards the shoulders more. Slowly come out of it. It's important to come out of your stretch, at least when you get older. You might not feel the need for it when you're younger, but it's important to come out of those deeper stretches slow, because if you come out of those deeper stretches fast, you're gonna feel something tweak, and it might not feel good, and it might cause a little bit of an irritation somewhere. So that's pretty much the shoulder routine. The next shoulder exercise in the playlist is gonna be shoulder press, because for a complete shoulder routine, we like to go to failure with a pull or a row, and then come back with the shoulder press, whether it be a dumbbell or barbell or a machine, because it's just so different. The pulls and the laterals hit the shoulders and the medial head and the rear head a little bit more, the presses in the frontal head a little bit, and it's just a nice routine and a very thorough feeling on the muscle, the deltoid. So there you go. There's some great tips. Hopefully you took some things away that you could implement now. I'd like to talk about any of your questions down below. Give me some of your ideas of what works, what has worked in the past and what hasn't worked, and some types of things that you would like to see for future videos. So I'll see you down in the comment section below, and I'll see you next week for Exercise of the Week episode 8.